Hi, I'm Jason Moss. I'm the Peer Support Coordinator here at BCS, and this is Mental Health Mondays.
Hello, this is Henry Luyombya. I'm a community leader, I'm a mental health specialist, but also a global citizen. I also work with Peers Alliance and New African Canadians. It's an honor to be part of Mental Health Mondays.
Henry, I appreciate you so much for being here. Sick society, sick people, and talking about the social determinants of health. What are your thoughts?
Firstly, thank you so much for the opportunity. We are a sick people. We are a sick society. And that means that there are so many structure barriers. There are systemic issues that impact on our overall well-being. And this also affects our mental health.
Yeah. And so, would you be able to tell me a bit more about those barriers that exist?
There's so many.
Yeah, just to name a few.
Our viewers must be knowing them. But just to mention a few
Yeah.
is social exclusion. Many black people are not in positions of power. And so that means that decisions are made and our voices are not listened to. And that means we are on societal margins. That impacts on our health outcomes. Number two is around income and financial inequities. Many black people and other marginalized communities, we're not in employment or we are underemployed. That means it's harder for us to access basic needs, including housing, food, healthcare.
Yeah.
And so that impacts on our mental well-being.
Yeah, I can see how all of them come together, and I know housing to be a very, very big issue here in PEI. And just going back, you mentioned that decisions are being made without the voices of the Black people coming forward, and I know, well, I feel confident enough to say that a large majority of the Black population do fall under immigrants here to PEI, and so that's very, very frustrating to be in that position. What are some, I mean, I know it's not a one fix all type situation, but if you had to put forward some sort of solution, like a first step in the right direction, what would you suggest?
Before we even talk about the solutions, we have to first talk about the issues themselves because at times they're not put at the forefront. The media does not capture issues that impact people. It's only when it makes it on social media, when there is a serious incident, that you will see PRs and press conferences. So we have to acknowledge that there are systemic barriers. People who are black on the island are marginalized. People who are sexual minorities or gender minorities are marginalized. People of color are marginalized. If we put that even in our workplaces, in our political circles, in our education systems, and we acknowledge that these barriers need to be addressed, that is one step as a starting point to address them. Number two is let's get to the monies so that the people who are impacted by the issues can get access to resources. I believe that with the resources getting to people who are in need, it will create what we call equity. There is fairness in competition for jobs. There is access to people who are international students getting immigration status. All these impact on people's mental well-being. And I believe that if we take that line, then we will see increases in manpower. There will be increase in job satisfaction. There will be increase in morale, in productivity. People are going to stay on the island because they are feeling welcomed, their mental health is boosted, and the government is going to win. Those, I believe, are some of the strategies that we can start to work on if we're to look at the structural and systemic issues that impact on our mental well-being.
Well said. You can see that you hold a wealth of knowledge in terms of how each layer, I guess it falls under intersectionality, but each layer comes together to thus, I guess, determine our mental well-being and where we stand on that. And so you've talked about immigration, you touched a little bit on homelessness, just equity in terms of jobs and being resources in general. What other major social determinant would you say also has a play in the game when it comes to determining where our mental health lies?
It all starts with also education, the education systems. Here on the island, we're very lucky we have a few higher institutions of learning. But within those systems, these are the colleges and university that are bringing up tomorrow's employees.
That's true.
If we can start with even supporting not only the students, but also the faculty to understand that there is need to prioritize mental health of themselves, of students, of even non-faculty staff who are within the communities, and most of them are marginalized. I believe that with education being a key institution, that will be part of the sector that changes society. And of course, there is our politicians, political institutions. We have to talk about inequities. Yes? We have currently here on PEI one MLA who is of a person from the Black community. And so what does that mean? If we are trying to talk about issues of equity, let's get people of color to run for positions of power. Let's get people to be heads of corporations. We are a small island, but we're very big in terms of our hearts. I believe that these things, when we put them with a plan, 3, 4, 5-year plan, then our mental health is going to improve. And we will have people coming on the island to stay and grow the economy as we recover from COVID and other issues.
I 100% agree. I mean, simple as that in terms of pooling resources, ensuring that everyone is getting access to the same education and a good one at that. Everyone's having access to safe housing and a good paying job. They're able to afford, life. As you know, it's very expensive.
Very.
Through that, we can get more individuals from the community engaged when it comes to lawmaking, so that there can be more of a say from what the Black community needs in order to raise our mental health.
Absolutely. It is creating that platform, creating an environment that is welcoming, that is supportive of people to live and thrive and grow. If we create that environment, then even investors are going to leave Alberta, Ontario to come on and invest on the island, and international students are going to be staying here after they graduate. Immigrants are going to stay here even after they get their permanent residency. But the question is, are they staying here? Are we creating a workplace that is welcoming, that is anti-racist? Let's talk about racism. It exists in institutions. Systemic racism, which I describe as a series of undocumented processes and practices that is meant to hinder a particular group of people based on their race. So, systemic racism is driving our mental health to go down because it's not written in policies. It is undocumented. If we can start with addressing systemic racism in politics, in the criminal justice system, in the housing institutions, in educational institutions, communities and businesses, we are going to have a place that is welcoming.
I 100% agree. And as you're saying that, the first thing that comes to my head is people, I guess, call PEI the gentle island. And I feel like if we could just take that concept and make it a reality and applying it to all the systems that need to be, well, really just trying to first establish or make people more aware of the racist policies at play. Through there, that could be just, I guess, a step in the right direction.
It would be. And acknowledging our history on PEI, that we have a bad history.
Yeah.
Racism has existed.
Yeah.
Black people were really put down. Asian people, the same. And so, until we come out publicly to acknowledge the wrongs of the past and see how we correct them, instead of just ticking off a box that, oh, we had an anti-racism training or unconscious bias. All these are not helping our mental health. That's why many people don't turn up for elections. We just had a provincial election. No people show up. Why? Because people don't trust the politicians. They trust leaders. So there is a difference between a leader and a politician. A leader, just like you and I, we work for the community. Most politicians are working for the next election. Me and you, we're working for the generation of people who are going to come after us. And so that improves our mental health. If we know that there is someone coming after me, there is a better society that is coming.
Yeah.
Let's pave a way for them. Let's do something. And guess what? Everyone's mental health will be fine.
Listen, you preaching to the choir, because just in through that, not only will we have a greatest or rely more on the leaders of the community, but also just pushing the notion of acknowledgement and accountability. I think that will be the key element to raising or bringing more attention to the social determinants of our mental health. So on this note, I will say thank you so much for sitting down with me just to bring up these super important points with me, Henry. This has been Mental Health Mondays. Thank you so much for watching.
And thank you so much for sharing and also for asking me those wonderful questions. I cannot wait to find out how people, if they've listened, what can they do in the next 5 to 7 days to improve overall mental health. Thank you.